Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Now, yesterday, of course, I was getting the reports, people just, poking the bear like, hey, we're out here fishing, but sporadic is at best, even from the coast. There's been some, not great reports coming from the coast for folks that are chasing spring chinook, either it be in the Tillamook system, somewhere in that area, or from the Columbia, the Willamette. It just seems like everyone in the last 4 or 5 days has said the same thing, that the fishing was decent, of course, right when I left last Monday, but then started to slow down consistently. Yesterday was just one of those days where not a lot of fish caught, but it also seemed like there wasn't a lot of participation. Folks that I know personally that were going out of the big boat launch there on the Columbia below Bonneville, not very many boats out, not very many fish caught. And I think that's just due to the conditions, river levels changing a little bit, and then weather, right? We're going to find out from Payton Major what we can expect here in just a little bit when you're talking about weather for this upcoming week. When the sun kind of pops out, river temperature is staying down because of the cooler conditions, of course. That's all great stuff. Hopefully, there might be a little bit of extra time there, but in the end, it's spring chinook season in May. Depending on the areas you like to spend your time, anchor fishing is still extremely viable from what I've been told, that even though the river is dropping, trolling has just simply not been the most productive way to go after it. Although there's a lot of you out there that's the only way that you're going to go after them. So understandably so, maybe change tactics a little bit. But this week, I'm a little excited about this week. There's some options this week, so it'll be, again, interesting to see how it goes. But let's just take a look at the fish counts. Nothing really huge going on, of course, at the Willamette. They haven't updated the last couple of days. We got this question. It's very well known. They don't count each day. It's all recorded, video recorded, and then they come back through. That's why you find a lot of days that haven't been updated, but not a great number. If you were to take a look at the 10-year average, it's not that it's tremendously below that. This all depends on temperature, flows, when these fish decide to go over the falls. Hopefully we'll see that bounce a little bit. Taking a look at the at Bonneville Dam, you can see the numbers for shad are kind of interesting that it went down yesterday. I have to take a look at that, what they did at the dam itself. But very consistent numbers, 2,000 to 2,500, although 13 on the 13th was interesting, but very consistent right there where we want to see it, and just at 100,000 fish. When we get a chance to talk with Bill Monroe Jr. here in a little bit, we're going to talk about this, what's going on at the dam, what is kind of expected to happen pre and post the 22nd. So we'll get a little bit of info there. Steelhead numbers, I don't even want to talk about yet. I'm just being ever the optimist there. River levels, I love this. Nothing's changed since yesterday. Very good levels. Clarity, we even took out the turbidity because it's in the 2s and 3s. But the river is very, very stable. And it does seem like I mentioned yesterday that with the Columbia dropping, that there seems to be a little bit, that there should seem to be a little bit more current in the Willamette. That was confirmed yesterday that there is at least a noticeable better flow than just a week ago, which is a benefit to anybody chasing fish on the Willamette right now. It gives you multiple different options, but you always want to have decent conditions when we can fish on the Columbia, and for myself, that's about perfect. If it's not going to blow out, which there's a number of reasons to see something like that this time of year, these are great stable conditions. I would expect that things would improve with the conditions this upcoming week, but again, we'll see how that goes. Okay, here you go. The numbers that had dropped for shad going over Bonneville. No real reason as to why, but of course those numbers are going to ramp up quickly. Fishing for shad in the Willamette and the Columbia, it's in full swing right now. If you're curious if it's even worth going, yes. Sunny days, if you can find them this week, we should have some of those sunny days. Those are much better to target shad than, say, an overcast day or if it's in the rain. Not that you can't catch them, but when it's sunny, it's certainly a better opportunity. Send Jason an email over there at Procure, jason@procure.com. You have to enter in each week, and there is a winner picked every Monday morning. He sends me a text every Monday morning with that, and I always forget. But there is a winner every Monday morning. All right, let's check in with Payton Major and find out what we can expect with the weather. And Payton, it looked like it may have changed slightly since yesterday.
Just a little. The second half of the week, I think, is a dice roll. So you're just going to want to pay attention to the forecast. It could even change from this morning to tonight. First, I want to talk about yesterday because at the airport, it was a very notable day. 1.23 inches of rain fell in 24 hours of Saturday. That's the most daily rain, so 24-hour rain, we've had in Portland in 529 days. Pretty crazy. 1.68 inches December 6, 2023. It's also our fourth wettest May day. So we keep having these kind of weaker systems. I say weak, even though yesterday was pretty strong, but weak systems come through, and then the day or two after is very sprinkly, showery with whatever lingering moisture is coming through. So here's our next significant system. It's actually going to arrive tomorrow morning. Today, we're still dealing with the very limited moisture that's overhead, really just hugging the mountain locations. So the Cascades and the North Coast Range today, a little bit in the foothills. A lot of us just pretty much dry with the exception of a stray sprinkle. Pretty gusty out there in the Dalles, thinking 30 to 40 miles per hour at times. So just be really careful if you're traveling on I-84. Here's our forecast future view. I think the wettest time may be about midday to early afternoon. Pretty dry by the evening, even some sun breaks expected. There's our next system coming pretty quickly. Tomorrow morning, steady showers, and then by the afternoon, just some lingering sprinkles heading into Tuesday. That same system I was just kind of or pattern rather, I was just hinting at. So we're looking at 1/10 of an inch to 2/10 of an inch. However, this is our American graph model. It hasn't been doing very well on forecasting how much rain, so we'll see. I'm going to hope for 2/10 of an inch. Our jet stream, we always talk about this, really is the determining factor of a lot of things, especially when it comes to rain. It's been staying close, and what happened from yesterday to today is we thought the jet stream would exit north, focus its attention on Canada, and then we'd have those warm, dry days later this week. In fact, it's deciding to stick around, wants to hang with us a few more days. And so we're going to see what happens later this week. It's kind of a dice roll before Memorial Day weekend. I think we could have a few showers Thursday, Friday if it happens to stay close. If it retreats northward, we'll have more sunny days. That's definitely going to happen by the holiday weekend. We finally have those mid-70s and sunshine back. But yeah, you can see that change there from Tuesday to Wednesday when we start to see the 70s again, Owen. So, you know, this is just the fun of being a meteorologist, right? We got to kind of roll with the punches. So I think later this week, make sure you are staying tuned.
It can't be easy to try to forecast this stuff in spring in Oregon.
Yeah.
Not at all. But we appreciate it as always, Payton.
Yeah, of course.
Certainly. Have yourself a great week, okay?
Thanks.
What I loved about that radar that she just showed, the jet stream, is for all of us duck hunters here in the Northwest. It doesn't matter if you're in Oregon, Washington, or Idaho. The vast majority of our birds come out of the boreal forest. Any amount of rain that's up there is great. We don't want any dry spells or droughts up in the boreal forest. Just trust me on that one. It's a darn good thing. All right, we're going to come back from this break with Bill Monroe Jr. He's live on the Columbia chasing some spring chinook around in our last handful of days of this opener below Bonneville. We're going to get that report and talk a little bit about, well, was there any more time below Bonneville Dam? We'll find out in just a couple minutes.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by P-Line, because we fish, by Hawken Fishing, perfection in fishing gear, and by Haxton's Canvas and Upholstery, the trusted name of the Pacific Northwest.